What's up, movie lovers, and welcome back to CineBolt. Without wasting your time, we're diving straight into 6 intense and insane brand new thrillers that you should definitely add to your watch list this September. With that said, let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got a flick that looks like a straight-up shot of adrenaline for martial arts fans. Prisoner of War throws the absolute legend Scott Adkins into a Japanese POW camp during World War II. He plays a captured British SAS officer who's forced to compete in these brutal to-the-death combat matches for the camp guard's entertainment.
Fight to the death!
This is Adkins in his absolute element. We're talking a gritty, desperate setting that's perfect for showcasing his insane acrobatic and fighting skills. The director, Louis Mandylor, knows his way around an action set piece, so I'm expecting some bone-crunching, brilliantly choreographed fights that will make you wince in the best way possible. The World War II backdrop adds a layer of honor and desperation that could elevate this beyond just a simple tournament movie. Now, the plot sounds a little like a throwback to classic 80s and 90s B-action movies, so there might be some predictable beats. Don't go in expecting Saving Private Ryan. This is a vehicle for some of the best martial arts action you'll see all year. If you're a fan of Scott Adkins or just want a no-nonsense, hard-hitting action flick, this is an absolute must-watch. This next one looks like it's going to be an absolutely grueling and intense experience. The Cut is a psychological thriller disguised as a sports drama, starring Orlando Bloom in a role that looks like a serious physical and emotional transformation. He plays a retired boxer who, after a decade away from the ring, gets a last-shot offer to fight for a major championship. To make weight, he undergoes a punishing, extreme regimen overseen by a ruthless promoter and a cold, unforgiving trainer played by the great John Turturro. What makes this a must-watch for me is the focus. This isn't just another Rocky story. It's about the sheer psychological horror of what elite athletes put their bodies through. The director Sean Ellis is a master of tension. If you've seen his films Metro Manila or Anthropoid, you know he doesn't pull his punches. This film promises to be a deep dive into the mental and physical collapse that comes with pushing your body to the absolute limit. Bloom looks completely committed, and I'm hyped to see him in such a gritty, demanding role. The only potential downside is that boxing movies are a very crowded genre, and it could fall back on familiar tropes, but all signs point to this being something different. This is for anyone who loves intense psychological thrillers and character-driven dramas. Alright, my next pick is a name that gives horror fans the chills: The Strangers. Releasing on September 26th, The Strangers Chapter 2 is here to prove that lightning and masked killers can definitely strike twice. The story picks up with Maya, a survivor from the first chapter's nightmare, who's on a cross-country road trip with her boyfriend. But when their car breaks down, they're forced to hole up in a remote Airbnb. And guess who comes knocking? That's right, doll-faced pinup girl and the man in the mask are back because you were home.
Who are they? Why are they doing this?
Does there have to be a why?
Director Renny Harlin, the guy behind action bangers like Die Hard 2 and Deep Blue Sea, is at the helm, which is an interesting choice. The biggest and most exciting change here is that they're blowing the doors off the home invasion concept and turning this into a town-wide terror. This move could inject a whole new level of scale and unrelenting dread into the franchise. The pure, motiveless horror of the original is what made it a classic, and seeing that unleashed on a larger canvas could be absolutely terrifying. Of course, the risk here is losing that claustrophobic, intimate terror that made the first film so effective. Bigger isn't always better in horror, and as the middle part of a trilogy, it runs the risk of feeling like pure setup for the finale without a satisfying conclusion of its own. Overall, if you're a fan of brutal, straightforward slashers and you're hyped to see this world get bigger and bloodier, this is one you can't miss. Alright, next, one of my most anticipated action thriller of the month is a film that sounds so unbelievably bonkers and brilliant. It's almost hard to believe it's real. One Battle After Another is a black comedy action film, written, directed, and produced by the one and only Paul Thomas Anderson. Yes, that PTA. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio as a washed-up revolutionary living off-grid with his daughter. When an old nemesis, played by Sean Penn, resurfaces and his daughter goes missing, He reunites his old crew of radicals, including Benicio del Toro and Regina Hall, for one last fight. PTA, the master of sprawling, character-driven epics like Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood, is tackling an action film. The cast is just jaw-droppingly good. Leo as a burned-out revolutionary, Sean Penn as a villainous colonel, Benicio del Toro as Sensei Sergio. Sign me up. This one promises to be a one-of-a-kind blend of explosive action, biting political satire, and dark, offbeat humor. It's gonna be weird, it's gonna be smart, and knowing PTA, it's gonna be visually stunning. Now, if you're walking in expecting a straightforward Michael Bay flick, you're gonna be very confused. This will be an art house action movie, more Inherent Vice with explosions than Fast and Furious. The pacing might be deliberate, and the humor will likely be bone dry. But for anyone who loves PTA, or for action fans craving something totally original and wildly ambitious, this is it. Next, we have a movie that has instant classic written all over it, dropping on September 19th. From Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions, we have Him. This is a supernatural sports horror flick, and that combo alone is wild. The story follows Cameron Cade, a top-tier quarterback prospect whose career is thrown into jeopardy by a brain injury. His idol, the legendary quarterback Isaiah White, played by the one and only Marlon Wayans, offers to train him at his super-isolated private compound. But what starts as mentorship quickly spirals into a dark psychological nightmare.
I'm not just gonna give it to you. You got to take it from me.
What if I say no?
Think of it as a gift from the God.
First off, it's Monkey Paw. Their track record with films like Get Out and Nope is impeccable, and their name alone is a seal of quality that guarantees a smart, layered, and socially relevant horror experience. And second, Marlon Wayans in a serious, menacing role. Sign me up! We know he's a comedic legend, but he has serious dramatic chops, and seeing him as this twisted icon is going to be a total trip. The concept of blending the intense pressure of pro sports with a psychological horror narrative is just brilliant and feels incredibly fresh. Now, the training at an isolated compound setup is a well-known trope, so it'll need Monkey Paw's signature originality to feel completely new. The sports horror can be a niche genre, but I have a feeling the psychological terror here will hook everyone, football fan or not. My hype for this one is through the roof, and if you're someone who loves elevated, intelligent horror that makes you think, it's a definite must-watch. And now for my final pick is a film that I can tell you right now is an absolute masterpiece. The Long Walk is a brutal, soul-crushing, and unforgettable dystopian thriller based on the legendary Stephen King novel. Set in a totalitarian 1970s America, the film centers on an annual contest where 50 teenage boys must walk at a constant speed of at least 3 miles per hour. If they slow down, they get a warning, and after 3 warnings, they get a bullet. The last one standing wins a grand prize. We follow Ray Garrotti, played by an incredible Cooper Hoffman, as he endures this nightmare.
Especially at the end.
Want to walk me a while?
Yeah, I do, Pete.
This movie is a gut punch in the best way possible. Francis Lawrence, who directed the best Hunger Games films, perfectly captures the novel's bleak, relentless tone. The performances are phenomenal across the board. You form real bonds with these kids, which makes every warning and every consequence feel devastating. Mark Hamill is absolutely chilling as the cold, detached leader, the Major. The tension isn't about jump scares, it's pure physical and psychological exhaustion. And it's a grueling watch that is just masterfully crafted. Now, this film is the definition of a slow burn. The entire movie is literally just them walking, so if you're looking for high-octane action, this is not your flick. It is a deep, dark character study, and the ending is just as bleak and ambiguous as the book, which might leave some viewers wanting a neater conclusion. In the end, though, this is the Hunger Games, stripped of all its glamour, mixed with the existential horror of the road. It is a must-watch for any Stephen King fan or anyone who appreciates a dark, character-driven story that will stick with you. It's tough, but it's a total gem. So what do y'all think? Which of these thrillers are you most hyped to see in September? Let me know what you're planning to watch down in the comments. And hey, if you love getting movie recommendations like these, do your boy a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. I've got more bangers coming your way. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you on the next one.